Happy Wednesday, everyone. Happy new moon. Happy Lunar New Year. There's a lot of new going on, a lot of fun, a lot of exciting things happening. We just had our New Year as well. And if any of you feel fancy and want to have your video on, you're more than welcome. If not, totally groovy, totally rad. Stay where you're at. Hi from Northern California. I hope everyone's having a safe evening. Hi, sunshine. Happy Wednesday. I'm excited to be here. This is going to be fun. I don't often do group work like this. It's pretty rare. I do a lot of one-on-one work. So whenever I get myself into this space to do this, I'm always really excited about it. So thank you everyone for being here and being a part of this tonight. I think that it's probably pretty safe to say that what you might be expecting, it might be looking slightly different than that. And I only say that simply because I think it's going to look slightly different than maybe what I'm expecting or what I initially planned on. So yeah, thanks everyone for being here. I think that we're going to get started here shortly. Um, I'll introduce myself. I have no idea if any of you know who I am or not. I can't really see any of you. I'm on my phone because my computer didn't work today, so we're just kind of winging it here. My name is Sierra. It's really nice to meet everyone. Like I was sharing a little bit earlier, I do a lot of one-on-one work. Um, it's not so often that I do group sessions. And so I'm really excited to kind of be switching that up and changing that up and being here tonight. I know that everyone kind of signed up for maybe the idea of like a chakra basics 101 class. And so we're definitely going to honor that. It's going to maybe look a little bit different than maybe what you would be anticipating, something about me um, that maybe would be insightful to kind of have a little awareness around is maybe the work that I do. So I am a psychic medium. I have been doing that my entire existence. I started my business maybe like 5 years ago, and throughout that space, I've learned a lot. My work has changed depending on, where my focus is and where, just the avenue in which I'm navigating towards is. But what's really interesting is that something that has always returned back to kind of like this grounded space is the importance of being in the body. And any direction that I tend to find myself going, that concept always returns. It's something that has been taught to me through multiple mentors and multiple teachers, all of them having different kind of reasonings on why there's so much value in that idea and in that concept. And so I've been thinking about tonight's class and I've been thinking about different things that we could sit here and we could discuss when it comes to chakras. Um, and the more that I sat with it, the more I came back to the value of being able to have the conversation about just what it's like to be in the body and the importance of that. And so we're kind of in a little bit of a funky time right now, just in general. I think all of us know that to be a little bit true. And that's showing up in a lot of different ways for a lot of different individuals. And I'm seeing that a lot in my psychic readings. I'm seeing that a lot in my one-on-one mentorship courses with my clients. There's just a lot going on. And when there's a lot that's happening, I think that by default, we as humans like the idea of kind of escaping a little bit. And I can like completely understand that. It makes sense. You know, with what's going on in the world and then with what's going on interpersonally with our own existences, sometimes the concept or the idea of being in our bodies can be overwhelming and overstimulating. And it makes sense. We've experienced tons and tons of different experiences that have happened to the body, the discomfort of some of the emotions and the feeling that show up in the body, things of that nature. And so it makes sense to me why there's like a part of us that maybe wants to kind of like disconnect. And, you know, oftentimes when we hear about the chakras, um, there's kind of this like spiritual element that's brought to it, right? We have this kind of like idea that there's this spiritual connection that comes along with it. And I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to argue, you know, that idea or that kind of outlook um, by any means, because absolutely. But what I also have this deep awareness around is that the chakra system is in the body. And that's how we're going to focus in on kind of understanding through that lens and that perspective. And I have total awareness that I could sit here and I could chat with you all about my perspective around that, where I see the most value, all of that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to do that because I think that there's a lot of advice right now that's being pushed around. And I think that there's a lot of uncertainty that's happening. And we can learn all of these different ideas and all of these different, I suppose, concepts that we could implement into our existences. But I just think that there might be more value if I teach you and if we walk through the process together. Another thing about me is I'm huge on tools. I'm very, very, very tool forward. I have an awareness that dysregulation and all of the things and the emotions and the energies and all of that can be a lot. The human experience is wide, it's vast, and there's a lot of different things that kind of come up throughout that process. And so I just think that there's going to be a lot of value in maybe bringing forward, teaching you some grounded tools that you can then genuinely take with you after tonight and implement them in your day to day existence. And so I'm going to teach us three of them. And we're going to absolutely talk about chakras. We're going to take advantage of the fact that the chakra system is in the body, and we're going to actually go in and we're going to utilize that and get comfortable with that. And so, because it's a basics 101, all of it's going to be super, super, super simple. If you're someone who has so much knowledge on the chakras, I'm just going to take you all the way back to the basics. So much value there, so much value just in the simplicity of things. Um, and so ultimately, because yes, like I said, we're going to absolutely make sure that we focus in on the chakras and, you know, just some information and the value of that. Um, but introducing three different tools that can not just be implemented, you know, in a long stretched out span, but also in like 30 seconds. These are like tools that you can use almost instantly when whatever it is that has presented itself has arrived. These tools can be implemented really, really quickly, 30 seconds, 30 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 hours, however long you need. It's interesting. I keep coming back to this thought that I've been having. Um, and it's a really, really weird way for me to say what I'm going to say, but when you think about somebody robbing somebody, when like somebody comes into somebody's home and they're going to steal from them or they're going to rob them, it's going to be so much easier for that person to do that if the person's not home. And like I hear myself say that, and it's such a funny way for me to like express the importance of staying in the body. But we can hear that and then not like fully understand how to access that point. And so tonight I'm going to teach you, we're going to walk through, it's going to feel like a meditation, like 100%. There's no way around that. So if you're not interested in like dropping in, then I would like absolutely suggest that like, maybe exiting in like right before we start dropping into that space. And then if you do fancy or you are interested coming back to this recording that will be sent out and on YouTube, and you can kind of allow yourself to like be in a space where you're set up for that. Especially because I know that that was not clarified at all that this was going to be something that we were going to be experiencing. So if you don't feel like you have like the safety or the ability or the space set up to drop in, like I totally understand. And you can return to this when it does feel right. For those of you who are like, absolutely, let's drop in. That's what it's going to feel like. It's going to feel like a long, drawn out meditation, but it's ultimately three tools that I am going to kind of like bring in together. The first tool that I'm going to introduce to us is tuning into the hand. We're going to tune into the body. One of my favorite things to remind my clients is that when you can't get out of your head, just get into your goddamn hand. This tool teaches us so many different things, but like the main practice with this one is presence. It's going to be really, really good when like the mind is overthinking and like you're not in that space of being able to feel into clarity. Presence, tuning into the hand. And so we will go into the hand and then I'll walk us through the entire body. Practice that as much as you want. It's a really, really simple, safe tool to go inward. Um, and like I said, it can be done in like 30 seconds, or you can expand it for as long as you need. Once we have kind of like sat in that energy, then we're going to kind of transition into doing some of that chakra work. I'll guide us through a little bit of breathing so we can learn how to connect with each chakra. We're going to focus specifically tonight on the very basics of connecting and acknowledgement. This introduction is fun because who doesn't love being able to go in and balance their chakras and then feel good once we're done with that? And that's just going to have a domino rippling effect of positivity. Because ultimately, when your chakras are fully in alignment, we have this open ability to be able to receive, having an awareness that it's going to come through for us to see it, knowing that we're going to be able to speak it from a space of love, having confidence that we're in flow while being really grounded. So alignment is really important. And like you're going to feel that after dropping into this space. But we're also exploring acknowledgement, and that tool can be used and utilized beyond just acknowledging the chakras. This can also be played around and used with feelings and emotions. And this is a really great way to get into the body and to start observing what it is that's present. Oftentimes, acknowledging things is really all we need when it comes to like the simple, basic day to day stuff that's kind of popping up. So, as we go through and connect and acknowledge, we're going to be also learning how to like tune in, how to check in with the body. We're going to be having an awareness that we are focusing in on a different form of inner listening, which is just kind of like a fun thing to kind of explore. We'll be cleansing, we'll be balancing. And then on top of that, there's a lot of teaching that comes from the inner existence. And this is kind of a really simple introduction into that if it is foreign. Once we kind of finish in that space of alignment, then I'm going to just kind of do this little simple practice where we're just going to expand our energy. And this one is so good because it can be used in every and all moments, and it kind of should be. Um, and I'll walk us through it. It's really simple. I like to use this one anytime I'm about to go anywhere where there's other people. It's just a really nice way to open up a sense of protection. It's going to just be like creating space between you and the energies that are around you, which is good for you and the domino effect of others. And then on top of it, it's just like a really nice mindful practice that like gives you a minute to just like focus in on yourself. And we should be practicing things like that and tuning into the body and all of that anyways. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of what I think that would bring the most value in tonight's space. And so if you guys are all down with that, I feel like it would be fun to kind of transition into working through that, moving through that. What I'm going to suggest is allowing yourself to get into a really comfortable position. We have time. We have plenty of time. At least a half an hour in this space is kind of what I'm thinking. So we're going to move into it slowly because why not? Um, and if there is any part of you that feels any sense of apprehension about going into the body and spending time in this inner existence, I want you to just maybe like open up to the perspective that there's a lot of value in getting to spend time with yourself. And that if it doesn't feel safe right now, that that's something that we are opening up as a possibility to maybe start exploring. And so, what I would do is invite you to close down the eyes, but like only if that feels safe. All of this can be done with your eyes open. You get to navigate and make the rules. If at any point you find yourself drifting away, no problem. Make sense. Connect back with your breath and then back with the practice. And if you decide you don't want to connect back with the practice and the tool, no problem. Connecting with the breath is one of the best tools that you can be a part of. Um, a lot of this work that we're also going to be playing around with tonight, these tools are all nervous system regulation tools. There's just a lot of value of being able to feel that sense of regulation and clarity within. And I'm sure a lot of you know that. I'm sure a lot of you have tons and tons of insight around that. And so if you do, and you're like, yeah, this is all easy breezy, then love. I'm super excited to be able to just like hold space and walk us through this. I will bring us back out of that space. And then if you fancy when we are finished, and you want to introduce yourself, say hi, you have any questions for me, you want to talk about any of the experience, absolutely. Like I said, I do a lot of psychic work. So if there are any kind of like visuals or anything that present themselves that you want to discuss or have further insight around, I do this work all the time with people. So really common for that kind of stuff to present. And I'm just way, way open to all of that kind of conversation. So with all of that being said, let's maybe allow ourselves, if you haven't yet already, I have no idea what any of you are up to on that other side. But if you haven't yet already, let's go ahead and let's close down the eyes, or let's just allow ourselves to get comfortable. And you can go ahead and you can lay down, you can sit up, you can stand, you can pace around the room if you want. These tools can be implemented any way that's needed. If it's loud in your surroundings, remember that you're extremely adaptable and that eventually all of that will fade. We're going to go ahead. We're going to slowly breathe in through the nose. We're just going to let that go out of the mouth in any way that feels natural and organic. And if this is your first time slowing down today, I just want you to really sink into the simplicity of that stillness. Returning back with a space of ease as you breathe in through the mouth and you let that all go. And you're going to let your day just kind of pass on through the thinking mind. We're not here to change anything. We're just simply here to arrive and to observe as we slowly begin to connect deeper into our breath as we breathe in through the nose. And we let that all go. And now I want you to bring your total focus and attention and awareness to the inside of your left palm. And if you need to readjust yourself, flip your hand in the receiving position, in the upright position. You're going to start bringing all of your focus and awareness into the center space of your left palm. And if you've never done something like this before, it might feel a little funny, but just give yourself a little bit of space. Let time help you arrive. And maybe slow yourself from the desire to seek out, but to receive from within as you continue to bring your focus to the center of the inside of your left palm. It may feel tingly. It may feel really warm. It may feel really cold, which is an odd one that always throws me off. It's fully possible. Like you feel staticky, feel hollow. It doesn't matter. You're just tuning into that space. No right, no wrong. Just observation. And then while you hold the awareness of the inner existence of your left palm, I want you to simultaneously bring in the awareness of the inner existence of your right palm. So I want you to hold the awareness of what it feels like inside both the left and the right hand. Just observe. And if your brain wasn't ready to slow down, come back to the breath and then to the hands. Yeah, no problem. Okay, cool. So we're holding both. Now we're going to add the left arm, just the left arm though. So we're going to hold the left arm, the left hand, and the right hand. Just feel in existence. You can still hear the life around you. That's okay. Distractions will be everywhere. Okay, now let's go ahead and add the right arm. So now we're in this space of having full awareness. The left hand, the right hand, the right arm, and left arm. And just slow down here. Be right there. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the entire torso all the way up to the shoulders. And take your time here. It's a lot all at once. Holding the awareness of the left hand, the right hand, right arm, and the left torso. Now adding the neck and the head, having full awareness of the inner existence, the entire upper half of the body. And if you lost sight for a moment, we return to the breath and then to the practice. Mhm. Okay. So now we're going to add the left and the right thigh. And now the left and the right calf. Feeling the knees, the shins, feeling the inner sensation as we then add both the left and the right walking feet, which have led you here to this moment today. And you tune into the body, into the presence. This practice allows us to lead from the body, to lead from the center space of our energetic existence. The more we practice this tool, the easier it becomes in our day-to-day walking lives. We begin to be able to hold the presence and the awareness of the inner existence as you navigate through the experiences of the day-to-day, holding you in a state of presence as the observer. You breathe into this space and you let that all go. As we begin to transition into our second tool, we hold the value of the first one as it allows us to transition deeper into the energetic space. We'll move through this tool through the axis of our breathing. As we'll breathe in for a count of 7, you will hold for a count of 3, and we will send that breath direct to the specific energy field in which our focus will be on. So each chakra. And we'll connect through the space of observation and acknowledgement. And so, still holding the art from the last tool, allowing yourself to stay in the body. Can you hold the awareness in the hand as you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth? Transitioning with present. We begin to breathe in through the nose, starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, and send that breath directly down into the root chakra, which exists at the base of the spine. I'm going to invite you to follow that breath directly down into that space as we start with the simplicity of acknowledging the energy, breathing in the color red and sending that energy down through the breath into the root, keeping that awareness and the balancing as you breathe in and send the vibrancy of the red down into that space. We continue to connect deeper as we begin to acknowledge the grounding energy that naturally resides within the existence. Allowing yourself space, build relationship with the energy through the simplicity of acknowledgement. Here we acknowledge our sense of safety and security. We acknowledge however it is that that presents in the physical body, without judgment and without the desire to change. You begin to send love deep into this space. As you breathe in through the nose, starting with 1, hold that breath for 3, and send that breath directly down into the sacral chakra. It exists slightly below the belly button. Here you begin to connect the pulsation of the rhythmic flow in this space. On each natural inhale, you breathe in the energy of orange. And on each natural exhale, you watch as that orange makes its way down to the sacral chakra, like slow and steady moving waters. You allow yourself to tune in and to connect the simplicity of acknowledgement, simply acknowledging that this space within you exists, this ability to tap in to the flow of your creativity and your own natural movement. It lives deep within this space, and you feel the pulsation growing as the acknowledgement deepens. You begin to send this space love as you begin to breathe in through the nose. As we hold the breath, send that breath directly down into the solar plexus chakra, which lives above the belly button, tucked behind the rib cage. Witnessing on each natural breath in through the nose, we pull in the vibrancy of the yellow. And on each exhale, we watch as that natural flow brings that yellow deep into the center space. As you begin to tune in to this energy, you feel the fire and you acknowledge the size of the flame without judgment or desire to change. The acknowledgement that the flame, no matter the size, is there. You acknowledge the space, confidence, acknowledging the center of this existence. You acknowledge the energy that comes with tuning in deeper into this space. Listening to your body's needs. If it needs to move or exhale deeper, all is welcome. You begin to send love into this space. As you begin to breathe in through the nose, hold that breath 3. And we send that breath directly into the center space of our heart chakra, which exists in the center of our chest. And you watch as you naturally breathe in through the nose, the vibrancy of the green follows with that breath. And you witness as you exhale that breath flowing down into the center space, watching that green begin to fill As you begin to observe and acknowledge the essence and the energy of love, both in receiving and in giving. You acknowledge where you are without the desire to change, without the desire to control. Here we remember that feelings are not facts and they are not forever, but like ourselves, they too want to be seen. And as we access through the avenue and the space of love, we allow ourselves to expand into that more gently, more graciously, with a deepened anger of safety. So you continue to acknowledge this space of existence within you, wherever it may be. And you truly allow yourself to connect deeper into that. And without the desire to change or control, you begin to simply send this love. As we breathe in through the nose, starting with 1, holding for 3. We send that breath directly down into the throat chakra. And here on our natural breaths in, we pull in the color and the essence and the energy of that blue. And as that breath releases, it makes its way into the center of that throat. As you begin to acknowledge the existence of this space and this energy, here we acknowledge not only where we are in our communication, our ability to speak, and how we speak that spoken word, but we also allow ourselves to acknowledge our ability to listen and how we choose to listen on a level of activeness that we show up for in that space. We allow ourselves to acknowledge where we are as we arrive into this space without judgment and without the desire to change. Remembering the only way we know how we feel and where we're at is if we allow ourselves to look and explore. You begin to send love deep into this space in the center of your throat. As you begin to breathe in through the nose, starting with 1, holding that breath for 3, and sending that breath directly up and through into the third eye. Bringing in the awareness on it. Each natural inhale in, we bring in the vibrancy of the indigo and the richness of that velvety color. Witnessing on that exhale, each and every drop of that color makes its way into the third eye space, balancing As much as the desire may be to open this space and to dive in to play, we remember that here we are arriving to connecting and acknowledging. And as you explore this space and acknowledge the vibrancy in your imagination and your perspective and how far you allow yourself to see, you observe without the desire to change. Simply just be. Begin to send love into this space. So breathe in through the nose, starting with one. Hold that breath, breathe. And we send that breath directly up, out, and through the crown chakra, just right there at the top in the center of our head space. And here, depending on who you are, what you fancy, you may be pulling up the color gold. It may be white. It may be purple. It may be something completely different. Either way, on each natural inhale, you pull that color in. And on each natural exhale, you send that color directly to the crown space as you begin to acknowledge the existence. And I want us to be mindful of the awareness of how fun it is to play in this space, to open and expand the third eye and the crown, and to allow ourselves to find a sense of ease through that outlet. And at no point am I here to encourage anything other than expanding into that space. But something I want us to be extremely mindful of is the deeper the roots, the taller the tree. It's important to stay in the body as you explore and expand into other interests, other spaces and places. Your branches can go further, knowing that the roots have you anchored. You send love into the crown as you breathe in through the tips of your toes, all the way to the top of the head. And as you release with that breath, you witness as it flows from the crown back down to the toes. Now we're going to bring focus and our attention and our awareness into our third tool of tonight. As we begin to take all of the energy in which we just sat with very presently, and we're going to witness as that energy begins to expand out 6 feet in front of you, creating space and distance in a healthy and a safe way. We begin to witness as that same energy begins to expand 6 feet behind you. Expanding 6 feet to the left side of the body. And then expanding 6 feet to the right. You witness as the energy begins to expand 6 feet above the crown of the head. And you witness as that energy begins to expand 6 feet below both the left and right walking feet in which led you here to this moment today. You send gratitude to those feet. You send gratitude to the hands, to the body, and to the self. As you still hold the awareness of the inner existence of the inner being, you begin to have awareness of the sounds in the room that surround you. You begin to bring subtle movement to the body in which you just explored, starting with the lungs as you breathe in and letting that go as you breathe out. Maybe for you, what's next is bringing in any kind of gentle movement to the fingers, the toes. Maybe it's the neck and the shoulders. Maybe it's finding stillness a little bit longer. But either way, whatever feels right for you, when you're ready, and only when you're ready, I'm going to invite you to return back to the current present of the here and the now by slowly opening your eyes and welcoming yourself home. So just really allowing yourself to kind of slowly come back to the existence. If you need to just like exit the party, totally stay in it, be where you need. You want to slowly return and connect back in a community base. I'll be here for a moment, for a while to hang out, but just take your time. If you feel like that was it for you tonight, thank you so much for joining and dropping in and taking some time to explore some of your own inner existence and maybe some different tools that you haven't played around with or that maybe you have played with, but just now have a different perspective around it. So thank you for coming and hanging out. We appreciate it. If you have any questions around contacting me or getting into any kind of work with me, all my information is on the den. And then also my Instagram is soul centered. So you can check me out there. You're so welcome. We will have a really groovy night. I know. Mm, thank you. Thanks for being here. Mhm. You look way cozy.
I am.
Mhm.
Tart came and like sat right on my like when we were doing sacral. She like or root. She literally was like It's my spot. So I'm very good
Yes.
now.
I love that. Yeah, Tara was probably like, I know that voice.
Yep, I swear, during the first tool, she's literally like, "Hey, hey, what's going on?" No, calm down. And then she settled, and she's now passed out.
I love that. Hi, sunshine. Hi. Um, no. If you have things that you fancy expressing, we've got to unmute you. There we go. Hi, Michelle.
Oh, hi. Sorry, let me turn on some lights. That was really
That's okay.
relaxing.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I got the color purple. It just kind of, when you said to go, before you even said the color for the kind of in between your eye, I saw violet and then just kind of was surrounded by like it was a darker velvet and then it was like a lavender. And I just wondering, does that symbolize anything? I think later you said that that was the color for.
Yeah, for our crown, that can be like explored oftentimes with that color. What's really interesting is if you were starting to see it while we were diving into the third eye,
The third eye.
I have like my own personal little theory about this. That I think oftentimes we hear a lot of people talking about like the value and the importance of like opening the third eye and like the process of doing so. And like that's how you get all your intuition and that's how you get, and absolutely, but like you have to have the crown open in order to receive it. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you started to see that purple coming through in your third, it makes sense because oftentimes they're going to open kind of at the same time. And that's going to bring so much value because it's kind of its own natural experience for them to just kind of like open together.
Mm-hmm.
But if that is something that you are working on and you
Yeah.
are like interested in expanding your third eye, I would heavily suggest if you're going to focus in on three energies that are going to support that, is just rooting the shit out of yourself. Because, like, your root chakra, the deeper the roots, the taller the tree, you can expand so much further.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start to open up the third, just like add the crown with it. Like two birds, one stone it. It doesn't have to be super complex. Honestly, acknowledgement brings a
Mm-hmm.
lot to the table. But yeah, it makes sense that you were starting to see the purple while we were in with the indigo because they hang out with each other. They're like BFFs.
I was like surrounded by it in a big cloud like bubble. And then
That's beautiful.
said the crown shock. I didn't know the color, but I think naturally when you think crown, I just think gold, but I was like yellow and light.
Mhm.
Yeah. What more about the third eye and the crown chakra? Like what does that open and allow for?
Well, it's a lot of our intuition and like the conversation or the concept of being able to connect with like the higher realms and the higher existences and like whatever that means to you, right? So, that can be as simple as like connecting with your higher self. That can be something like connecting with Buddha. That could be connecting with Jesus. That could be connecting with the lizards, whatever it is you fancy. That's going to be the avenue in which we want to kind of like utilize to reach that space. It's kind of like our antenna. And so when we're talking like our third eye, though, that's the ability to see it, right? So we receive it to see it, to then be able to listen or articulate it so then we
Mm,
can like start conceptualizing it and like living it in our existence, right? Because like what's the point of getting a download if you're not going to do much
right.
with it? It's here for all of that guidance. And so when you are opening that space, oftentimes people are doing it with the intention of opening up their intuition, their guidance, their connection with, the quote unquote spiritual realm, things of that. Um, but again, I am a very huge advocate for staying in the body because I think we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And
Mm,
so if you are going to start practicing this, just really, really maybe invite yourself to play around with the idea of the value of grounding yourself before you do that, or like simultaneously? Because if not, sometimes it can feel like you are a ship out at sea
Mhm.
and a storm came and you forgot to put your anchor down and you're just like, oh shit, that's a
Yeah.
lot happening at once.
I'm an
But
air, so I definitely
oh,
on the grounding and laying the roots.
yeah.
I don't know why, like that's super helpful. I think recognizing intuition with the spiritual realm because I often, I do have a spiritual sense and a belief in a higher power. Oftentimes, I don't know when I think third eye and intuition off. Sometimes my ego interrupts
Mm.
intuition and judgment comes in and like will throw off that connection with the spiritual realm.
So you were a little girl once, right?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So start playing.
Yeah.
Whenever it's funny that you bring that up because I don't know what I was watching the other day, but it was kids. I think that's what it was. I was watching kids. And they were playing pretend. And I forgot that that was like a genuine game that we played as kids. At least I did. Like, hey, who wants to play pretend? And then we're all gonna step into these roles. I've always been the kind of human that I am. So like playing pretend was like making potions and talking to the dead and doing all these things. And when you can play, when you can invite in the energy of like that child essence of play, it takes away the seriousness, which is crucial for what it is that we're doing. Because the seriousness oftentimes is what's going to block us being able to receive what it is that we're kind of like wanting to step into the first time or in the first place. And so play. If you feel like you're passing judgment on yourself, then just change that perspective and be like, well, I'm just making this shut up anyways, because that's playful and we can lean into it that way, and then you'll start to notice that that energy starts to attract to you, and then this idea of it being playful becomes grounded in a way where it doesn't feel silly, but it feels like a crucial tool for what it is that you're stepping into. I mean, any of my clients that are in here right now, which I know that there are a few in here, they're going to like absolutely tell you that any kind of psychic development we do, majority of it, I have them looking at it as if we're doing it through the lens of like all of this is make believe, all
Hmm.
of it, just because that tends to push you deeper
Mhm.
into what it is that you're practicing. It's just not
Hmm.
serious,
Ah,
you know?
yeah, love that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah,
Hmm.
love. Thanks so much for coming tonight.
Yeah. I can't see anybody else. Did they pop off or?
We have a few in here. We have a few hanging out.
Oh yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah,
Okay,
we sure do.
cool.
Amazing. Is there anything else that anyone wanted to like discuss or like chime in on or chat with, or anything that like you absolutely disagree with that we did tonight?
I think I just finally learned what color indigo. Well, I actually don't. No, indigo to me, it's funny. It's like a purplish pinkish color for me, and so like
Oh,
my crown's always gold. So,
okay.
and so that's just interesting. Obviously um I've heard you speak on this before, and so like for just some reason, like I could never figure out what color indigo is, and so it ends up being more purplish, and then my crown's always like gold, glittery, fun gold. So that was just very interesting how you expressed that. So that was really cool.
I love that. Cute.
I was going to share, hi, I'm Christina, that
Hey, Christina.
I don't remember anything, but it felt like in the beginning part um, that there's a picture in my office at work of my parents when they were initially, I was adopted from Colombia, and they were, I guess, poolside at their hotel. And that's where I was while you were talking.
Really?
And my parents died about 7 years ago. And I was there, like just watching them, but I knew that that's like where I was.
That's really interesting. How did that,
Yeah.
how are you feeling is that the first time that that's happened to you?
Yeah.
How are you feeling processing that?
Mm,
It's kind of an intimate question.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
like this,
I,
I guess this, it feels, it feels foreign. Like
yeah,
it just like
yeah.
when you don't know what something is and you're just trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can I share something on that?
Sure.
Maybe don't try to figure out what that was, and maybe just allow yourself to have had that experience and to let yourself
Mm-hmm.
just know that that existed. Um,
Mm-hmm.
maybe then more of them will keep showing up. Sometimes not everything has to be fully investigated because even if we think that we understand it, the feeling around it is sometimes just something that language doesn't have the capacity of holding. And we could go into this whole conversation about what it is that you may have experienced within that space. Um, it happens. That's something that's an experience that happens. If it was really vivid and something that like you were able to like really clearly see and
Mm-hmm.
you feel this sense of any sense of like gratitude or like joy that like came along with that, because I know that a lot of emotions will come along with
Mm-hmm.
an experience like that. um, I would allow yourself to maybe sit in that and maybe have, if there's any form of appreciation, just like acknowledgement around that, and then feel it, because the
Mm-hmm.
emotions that come along with that, that's like what we were doing in our chakras. We were experiencing and acknowledging things because the idea is it's really beautiful to build relationships with the energy inside of us and with our feelings and emotions, not so we can control them, but so then when they like show up, it doesn't feel so alarming and it doesn't feel so whiplash. So when we allow ourselves to just sit and be like, okay, so what's coming up? And it's like, okay, loneliness. It's like, okay, that exists, that's here, that's present. It's okay. So then you send that love after you've sat with it enough. And then it's okay. So what's the next one? Well, I feel a lot of joy. That was like a really beautiful experience that I had in witnessing that. Okay, you acknowledge that. I also feel confused. What the fuck was that? And then you acknowledge that and you let that process. And then it just gets to exist. Oftentimes we as humans, we so desperately want to understand. It's primal in us. I mean, it's why we seek out pain so much more than we seek out joy. We can't fully understand sadness and joy, so we funnel in and we focus into that, because that brings forward something that we feel we want a lot of resistance from. And so, yeah, if you allow yourself to maybe just sit with that, some things may come up and it may just be worth exploring.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that. I love that that was an experience for you because it is a rare one. And to have something so vivid is like being able, well, it's like being able to arrive, yeah, it's being able to see through a different lens and arrive into a timeline that can change a lot of different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. I would sit with that. And if it gets too trippy, laugh about it, please. If you're like,
Yeah.
okay, but like, what the hell? Just laugh about that. Oftentimes, that's kind of like common when people work with me. I do a lot of psychic mediumship work. I do a lot of this kind of stuff, and my energy can kind of infiltrate into those spaces. And every once in a while, that will just kind of show up. And so, just allowing yourself to process it. I feel like maybe she left. She got kicked out. Maybe her phone died. She's out of here. She's done. I'm out of that. Cool though. That's a fun visual experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one is a really trippy one when that happens. That's a form of timeline shifting.
Cool.
Yeah, it's yeah, there's it's we've done that work before where it's no different than the work that we've done when we're just intentionally going and arriving to that space. Her energy just brought her there. More than likely something guided her there, and it could have been her parents, it could have been lots of different things, but she was open enough to be able to receive that. So it's really beautiful because yeah, she naturally went into that space.
That is really cool.
Yeah. Um All right. I don't know if anyone else in here fancies to speak a spoke. Nicole, Nancy, Kimberly. I think the den is just the den. I've got Val here, but I don't want to just, be rude and just, shut us down. You guys could be sleeping. I don't think Nicole is. She sent a message, so I don't think she's sleeping by any means. But um, could you imagine anyone being able to sleep through my chit chat?
You have a most peaceful voice. Yeah.
Hi, Nicole.
I'm just eating some chicken, so I
And you're all green.
I know.
Valerie, you and Nicole would get along really, really well. Nicole pretty much wears only green all day,
No, but
every
I
day.
actually don't though. That's the funny thing. Not anymore. Last year for sure, but this year or whatever, not last year, but 2023. Although right now I am wearing, I
Yeah,
mean,
I was gonna say that as she says that, wearing full on
as I
green.
say that. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, that was so lovely. I was just like
Uh,
very interested in what she was saying, and yeah, that was cool. I felt really, yeah, I just felt really connected to my body, like especially in the first part with the hand um into the rest of the body, and yeah, it was cool. I just was grateful
it's
to
just
get
like,
to
yeah, that's like a
experience
nice
that.
tool to just get out of our heads.
Yeah,
And
so
like
cool.
I do it oftentimes when I'm driving for some reason. Like because anytime that I can implement a practice or a tool when I remember, I'm like, oh yes, let's do that now. Because life will force me to have to like be a part of them at some point. And I
Mm,
want to be familiar with the tools so they don't feel foreign. Like when those moments arrive and I'm like, oh fuck, the nervous system is wired. Um, and so I do it like when I'm driving and like, can I tune into my hand and like have an awareness of what it is that I'm seeing? And like the idea of that practice is to eventually truly be able to like exist through tuning in through the body and like walking. It
mm,
is, it's a heavy practice. I mean, it's just one that takes a lot of consistency. I think I've been, working that for probably 2 or 3 years and I probably actively remember it. I don't know, in my day-to-day life once a week, in my work with
mm,
clients every time I'm working with them, but like my day-to-day, just because yeah, it takes time. But that's eventually the idea, or like that's the reason why we do that one is to
mm.
eventually form through presence, but it also helps with so many other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for coming tonight. I didn't think you were gonna be
Yeah.
able to make it.
I know well, my husband is sick, and so I was like getting stuff
Mm,
for him, and oh, actually he's calling me right now.
mm,
Um,
Perfect timing.
but yeah, it was great. I love you.
I love you. I might see you tomorrow morning at class. I might go to pottery, I might go to class. So it'll be
Okay,
a surprise
beautiful.
to both of us.
Okay, yay.
Yay,
Bye.
bye, honey. Okay, and then Miss Kimberly and Nancy, I love ya. Thanks for coming. Yeah, you're so welcome. I'm glad that you were here. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me know if you have, any thoughts or anything around that. I hope you also have a wonderful night. Love, the kindness. All right, Miss Val, and I'll see you. I don't know, have we already seen each other this week?
We have, but I'm probably gonna text you.
Cool, cool. Cool, cool. So then I felt it correctly. I'll see you again this week. Okay. Amazing. Thank you, Kimberly. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Everyone be safe on your journeys. Bye.